to don't like to. I do like to separate personal from business, but you just can't sometimes. So for those of you who noticed, I was out over the weekend or whatever and wasn't really available. I did have a death in the family, and it was obviously really shocking and all of that. And I'll be around. Listen. Business is business. I'm running my hedge fund. I'm running my stuff. And I'm mourning. All this. This is what life is, right? So I'm going to do my best to continue to update stuff as I can. I do need the distraction. So it actually helps me. So we're just going to try our best. And listen, I appreciate all the outreach and stuff like that. But I am going to try my best to focus on the stuff, and we'll just kind of get into it. Okay. So let me pull up my screen, and we survived baseball rather easily last week, as did pretty much everybody else. We had a chance for Milwaukee to knock a couple of people out, but Milwaukee survived. Basically, everybody survived. So there's well, that's not true. Look at that, 12 eliminated total. So we're down to 59, of whom 29 have one strike. And we've already used, just to remind ourselves, we used Houston, Seattle, Texas, and Arizona. And this week we're already, I think we've had we're in our first week this week where every pick is impossible. Where it looks like there's very, very, very difficult decisions to be made, which is in a way good. It challenges everybody to come up with something. So what I did was I sent Bobby kind of a quick list of stuff that I was looking at, and just to remind everybody that you have to win to advance. Your team for the week starting Monday through Sunday has to get a 500 or better record. So what that means is that, with some rare exceptions, you'd like to pick teams that are playing an even number of games. It's just easier to go 500 than 1 over 500. But every week there's always one team that kind of like challenges that thesis, and we'll get to that as we kind of get there. So let's just go kind of like, I guess, series by series, and like talk about this. So first one I see is Tampa versus Tampa. They have 3 at home versus Pirates, 3 at home versus Yankees. Now it's funny, you would never imagine at the beginning of the season to consider a team against the Yankees, right? But the fact of the matter is, and then the funny thing is, now you're looking at the records, you're like, boy, maybe I'm more concerned about them playing Pirates. The Pirates. But the thing about Tampa, I think they have decent winning chances. The issue is that they're 23-6, which means I think it's pretty safe to say they're a good baseball team. While it's not easy to say that they're the best team, it certainly puts out an argument to save them. You know what I mean? Now it's possible that there's no options and you have to use them this week. But what did you think of Tampa?
So Tampa was one of the more interesting ones. First, just by the way, and I know I said this stuff, but I feel for you, and we got anything you need covered. We always got it, and I'm happy to be any part of the distraction. So just wanted to say that to say my piece, and obviously hard.
Yeah, if anybody says if they want, if there's anything they could do for me, what they could do is they could be in charge of updating the NBA projections after injuries come out. that would take the burden off of my.
Yeah, I hear you.
Fortunately or unfortunately, there are only like two game slates left. So
right, it's right. Yeah, well, I think Tampa actually does make sense. The Yankees, you see it without Judge. In the last 3 games, they've scored a total, I think, of 4 runs. It does seem like a spot, and Tampa's an interesting team because I don't know if the value in saving them is especially great. Largely because the division they play in is just very competitive. And you get the AL East, and it's usually you're going to get at least one of those teams. So you're going to have to decide: do you want to play them at the Red Sox, which again the Red Sox are not as good as the Yankees, but the Red Sox always do well at home. And do you want to play them against Toronto? So they're going to have like one of those teams every week, basically going forward for the most part. And while the Pirates have been off to a hot start, it certainly does seem like a favorable spot. I think it's probably going to be a fair that if I had to guess, that would be one of the ones people go with because there is a perception about the Yankees right now that I think people will sort of say, okay, you get the Yankees banged up without Stanton and Judge. You get to play the Pirates at home without their best or second best hitter, even though they've been winning without him. I certainly think that they're high up on the list, and my guess is they would end up as the most popular. Do you think that seems like would it be?
I think it's possible, and the funny thing is that when you mentioned Tampa, and the reason why we took them in the other pool like early is you said, listen, the thing about Tampa is they're ready to win now. They got all their dudes and they're going. And you've been talking about other teams that are probably better teams to save, like teams that are getting their guys back later. Like I think you've mentioned Milwaukee a couple of times. Yeah. You mentioned maybe even the Dodgers a couple of times. I don't remember, but there are a couple of teams that are okay now, but they are going to get better. And where teams like Tampa, you said right out of the gate, they're ready to go. And that means that the future value of them is not as dramatic as some of the others. So we'll keep them up there. Yeah. Pittsburgh, no, we're not playing anybody at Tampa.
I just don't think we're doing that.
Yeah. Baltimore, 6 road games is tough. Royals are weak, but at Braves is no bargain. So I probably would pass on this one.
Yep.
Braves 7-game series. All right, so let's talk about the Brewers for a second. So the Brewers have 3 games against the Rockies, 3 games at the Giants. Problem is, they're both on the road, which is not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And also not ideal is, as I just kind of alluded to, when they get Woodruff and these other guys back, they're going to be better. Mm-hmm. So normally I would say, it's a little shaky, let's save them. But when you see like the other options out there, it's slim pickings. So right. I think they have to be considered in play. What do you think?
I agree that they're in play. I actually think that they would be the team that I would have thought would be the second most popular, or maybe the most popular. The only thing that's tricky is you take the Giants and Rockies, who even no matter what, so they're 2 teams that some teams excel at home for different reasons. The Rockies excel at home because they're used to playing there. They understand it, or excel meaning that they're much better at home than they are on the road.
They outperform, right?
Yeah, they outperform their normal their road performances anyway. And the Giants are the same for their stadium and playing in the cold weather basically, and being really really hard to hit home runs. So I would think of them almost like a fade just because it's a somewhat dangerous situation. And I think that the overall, masses would look, okay, well, you're playing two lousy teams. Look at their records. I think Milwaukee will look popular, will look good to a lot of people. So I would, although a lot of people used them last week. So
that becomes a big deal, scarcity is kind of important, but this is good because if we can get away with saving them again, you know what I mean? Yeah. They'll become even more scarce. And then if we can get them in a smash spot with Woodruff back, you know what I mean? Then when no one else can use them, right? And that's going to be very strong. Actually.
Not to mention they play in a weak division, and this week they're not playing in their division, so I actually feel like they're a good team to save almost no matter what right now.
Toronto 7 games and not the greatest matchups anyway. Texas, no thanks. Minnesota, I don't know. 6 games on the road, not ideal. White Sox have a bad record, but I have this feeling White Sox just better than that. Cleveland
better than this. Yeah, I don't know how good they are, but they're definitely better than 8
better than that. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then Cleveland, do I really want to play 6 road games? Normally, once again, I would say just a toss, but I just kept them on the list just because there's nothing else. Not nothing else, but we'll get to one later. But
yeah.
If we played Survivor the way I play NFL Survivor, we had like 20 entries like across the board or whatever. Yeah. I think I would use a portfolio and sprinkle the Twins, but I wouldn't consider them a priority. Do you think about Minnesota here?
I totally agree with that. If we had more entries or whatever, I would absolutely sprinkle them in. I don't think that they're going to be a priority just because I do think that, going to those games and not to mention of the games that have been canceled this season, we have we always have potential extreme weather in the White Sox. I haven't checked out this weekly schedule, and the Cleveland's further down the road, but we've already had 3 games canceled in Cleveland so far this year. So I'd have to do a little more digging on the weather, but even then, I don't like it enough to where I even want to mess with it personally. So
So now we're going to get to a couple of odd number games that I want to think about. So the first one is the Mets. So this is a little dangerous because you start off with a game against the Braves, but then you get 3 Tigers and 3 Rockies. I don't think I want to do it, but again, I just want to squint and just kind of just throw it out there to you and see if it's of any interest to you.
For which one?
For the Mets.
For the Mets, I definitely have some interest in the Mets. I think that they would be they're up there for the other considered. I mean, it's tough this week if you look at all the things we're going through them, but it's nothing you feel all that great about. It is just one game against the Braves, which is basically a pick 'em, just with the matchups today. Well, the weird part I'm trying to figure out is they're playing a doubleheader today, but only one of those games counts. So it's the second.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how that works. It must be the second one only that counts. Would be my guess.
I don't see, and I'm not relying on this as being 100% accurate, where it says 1 versus Braves. So it's possible if they're going to give them 2.
Yeah, and then you end up with Strider.
I'm not. Yeah, forget it.
3-1 underdog. So I think we have to probably look another one.
Arizona, I'm very glad we used them last week. Otherwise, I would really consider it this week.
Right.
So thank God we don't. I think this could end up being like a weirdly popular pivot. You know what I mean? Like, even though it's only 5 games, which is really the worst thing you could probably do.
Right.
I mean, you do get 2 of the worst teams in baseball, I think. Even though the Rangers are 17-11, it depends if they get to DeGrom. If Arizona's getting the DeGrom games in one of these 2s,
I don't think you'll get to DeGrom because he came out again and he's out for at least 10 days. So.
Oh, okay. Well, for the fortunate thing, we don't have to waste any time on it because we don't have to.
Right.
Dodgers, no.
Dodgers are no, but they're honestly on this week. You don't want to use a team this good in this tough of matchups, but they did cross my mind just because it's one of those weeks.
Okay. All right, Miami, not ready to play Miami yet, especially against the Braves. All right, so Astros we used already, which is good because I think about them and probably be a bad play, but it doesn't matter. We don't have to spend any time on it because we used them.
Yeah.
So now this is a 7-game one that I want to think about. So you have the Cubs. They got 4 against the Nationals and 3 at home against the Marlins. All right. The thing that's going against them is, well, number 1, 7 games. Number 2, they get a Mackenzie Gore game, who is the best pitcher on the Nationals.
Yep. And Josiah Gray may end up being really good, as it turns out.
Might end up getting all, if not most or all my money in DFS today.
Yeah.
What they have also going for them, is that I don't know if they're going to get a better matchup than these 2 teams going forward. Both of them in the same week.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that I don't know. You know what I mean? Like when else are you going to use the Cubs? So I'm going to put them on the list and kind of hope we don't decide to use them. But I think we definitely have them on the list. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm with you there. It scares me. I think that they're way outperforming what their actual team is right now. And I don't think the Marlins are as especially bad as maybe some people might think because their pitching is tough. So that's my only thing there. But I mean, they're on my list. Again, it's hard to cross a lot of teams off this week because everybody you can certainly make a case for.
Angels have 3 at St. Louis and then 3 against the Rangers. I don't know.
I don't know what to do here either, especially the Cardinals are due some definitely positive regression or whatever, however it's put. And then the Rangers, it is not a bad time to attack them. But yeah, I mean, the Angels certainly make some sense to me. It's a little thin. It feels
all right. So they're on our list. All right. So I tell you, this will be a tough week. Yankees, no, they're at Tampa. Phillies, no, they're at Dodgers. Padres, okay.
Even with the Dodgers, they're definitely on my list.
Phillies?
The Padres.
Oh no, we're getting there right now, right?
Yeah.
So Padres, they get 3 home game against the Reds, okay, for openers. And they could survive like really quickly. You know what I mean? They could win 3 games in a row and be done with it. And yes, they're getting the Dodgers when you want to get to the Dodgers. So I think that that those 3 Reds games make the Padres very, very viable. The only thing I would say is that I'd like to think you could use them again, but I mean, they're always going to be in this tough division, right? I mean, like, when else are you going to use? I mean, you got to play them either interleague or, you know what I mean, or when they're just at least playing somebody outside their division, I guess.
Yeah, or the Arizona, Colorado is I would take them.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to go against Gallen. I mean, like,
right.
All right, so we'll keep them on there. Cleveland at Yankees.
Through DFS MLB projections have been updated.
Seattle. Oh man, did we use them?
About Seattle,
we did.
No. I said, what about? I don't think we used them in the other one. I thought maybe will you scroll? Do you mind scrolling back up and see?
I will.
Sorry.
Yeah, we did use Seattle. Good.
Oh, we did use them. Never mind.
Good. All right, good.
This one.
Reds, no thanks. San Fran at Astros, no thanks. Detroit, no. Washington, no. How about the Cardinals? I was just considering attacking them.
I think it's right.
Yeah,
you like a lot of sense. They've had a tough schedule and they've underperformed drastically so far this year. Maybe perception makes it so no one else is taking them.
I think that's a pretty good low-owned play also.
I agree.
All right, so let's put them high up on the list for now. Colorado, no. White Sox. I squinted at this one and I'm like, I guess not, right?
Yeah.
So
it's tough. I mean, it's like a slightly worse argument than the Cardinals, I think. I just think I can't do it with the White Sox.
All right, so just I need you to tell me that we can't take Kansas City.
It's just so hard for me to ever see them winning 3 games, but we're gonna have to do sometime, if hopefully.
The good news is that all these teams we're talking about, these total like freaking squint plays, they're all going to be no owned, I think.
Right.
So if I don't know what we gain. I mean, listen, if you play Kansas City over, say, the Cardinals,
yeah,
you do gain future value because Cardinals, like you said, they are good. They're probably
and they have the All-Star break thing.
No, not in this one.
Oh, not in this one. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah. So Kansas City, all right. So what we got? I'm not going to get rid of them yet. Oakland, not quite ready to play Oakland yet. All right. So Kansas City with this. Listen, this is no bargain against Baltimore to start for Oakland, right. But home against Oakland. I mean, this is the worst team, right? So Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago, Padres.
I think that I would lean, if I had to pick, I think I would lean St. Louis. It's tough.
Do we get Ohtani?
Let me just double check Ohtani. Ohtani's good. Ohtani.
I think we get him.
Yeah, I think he's pitching 1.
Remember, he gave up all those runs, but like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I know, and he always bounces back after those runs, unfortunately.
Do we get Flaherty against him somehow? Actually, I almost would rather not even have Flaherty against him.
No, the Dodgers just beat him up, I think. Yeah, I don't know. You don't want to waste it on that one. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a tough one.
So Cubs in 7. That's 1. Hold on. Milwaukee. I want to fade Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I want to save them.
St. Louis is the team that probably, like, maybe because they're 10-19, no one plays.
Well, no one's playing. Trust me, no one's playing.
But they're like the only team that we talked about down here that I actually like. They have like a reasonable lineup. Like they're a reasonable baseball team. They're a better baseball team than 10-19 by a lot.
The problem is they go 1-2 against the Angels. We're dead because the Tigers. You know what I mean? You know the Tigers.
Got to get all 3 against the Angels now.
You know the Tigers with what's his name? The Joey Wentz or whatever it is that we're gonna own by the once in future most improved player of the year, Erod or something like that.
Yeah, we get to go against the 10-game Tigers, who all 10 wins I feel like were against us.
I think so. And 17 were against them where we didn't have them. Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I do think that that's the one that sort of I like. The only problem is like you could argue that okay, you're not catching them at their peak. Maybe they'll get going or whatever. But I actually don't mind these matchups. The Angels at home never going to bother me. I think the Angels are like I think the Angels and Cardinals are very similar teams in terms of talent. So I then you get Tigers for 3 and you're
look, the fact is, if they go 1-2 against the Angels, which is possible, right? You got to be able to get 2 out of 3 at home against Detroit. You just have to be able to do it.
It should be like 90% to do that just based on their actual lineups and look at the rosters. But I don't know that. We've certainly it's hard to know in baseball, but I kind of like the idea of the St. Louis.
All right, sold.
That's the one I'm most in. I'm most in on.
Sold. So let's pull this up. So St. Louis.
Wouldn't it be hilarious? The people aren't going to play them. There's no way.
No chance.
No way. We have saved a hell of a lot of good teams. If we don't get through on this, we've saved a lot.
The idea. Well, again, you have to also remember it's double attrition. Yeah, other people have to get knocked out twice still. So we really have to keep going. You have to keep pushing these other teams out as much as possible.
Yeah,
I think this is reasonable because I do think that the only thing that's going to stop Milwaukee from being popular is that the people have used them. I'm going to be very curious to see where people go.
I actually think if they haven't used Tampa Bay, that some people will use Tampa Bay.
I think that's that's true. Yeah. So let people use Tampa. And I think people that haven't used Arizona might use Arizona in those that 7 game or whatever, that 5 gamer.
I bet you about 25% of the teams lose this week. I don't know if they'll lose to get a
Oh, yeah, I think so.
It's just so hard to find anything to be
or the other variation, which unfortunately for us has been the variation that's come up more often than not, is that 30% ownership goes to the Cardinals. I mean, that's
it's true. We've had the weird ones, but
we think they're weird, but everybody's sharp in this pool, So it's
you're right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So we'll just see.
Yeah,
we'll just see what happens.
I love who we have left if we can get through.
Exactly.
We've got a lot of good teams that we can still use at their peak.
All right, so that'll do it. We'll do an MLB. Give me what you ready? You ready to go now?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, give me 5 minutes. At 11:30, we'll go back on for MLB.
Sounds good.